You're listening to Morning Edition on this Monday here on WCBU. I'm Ryan Denham. A state lawmaker who represents parts of Greater Peoria wants to eliminate corporate money in elections. WCBU State Capitol reporter Evan Holden reports the proposal could face legal challenges if it ever becomes law.
Democratic State Representative Sharon Chung, who represents parts of Bloomington-Normal and Peoria, has introduced a bill to limit corporate money in elections. Chung says it is one way to get rid of the infamous legacy of former House Speaker Mike Madigan and the power he wielded over legislators.
We kind of have a auspicious history in Illinois when it comes to politicians sort of taking money and that sort of thing, right? That's not a great history that we want to stand on.
Chung's bill would redefine corporate powers in Illinois law by stating corporations do not have the power to engage in activities related to primaries or elections. Chung is trying to get around Citizens United, a Supreme Court ruling which gives corporations the right to free speech, allowing them to donate unlimited money to campaigns. Chung says the idea came from Robert Reich's Substack. Reich served as U.S. Labor Secretary under President Clinton. Still, the bill would likely face legal scrutiny. That's according to Elisa Kaplan, the executive director of Reform for Illinois, a nonpartisan good government group.
Bills like this face an uphill battle in the federal courts because of the way the Supreme Court has interpreted the Constitution over the last few decades.
Representative Chung has also used large sums of money to win an election. Her campaign spent $1.2 million in her first election to the Illinois House in 2022, heavily outspending her opponent. Chung has also taken corporate money, $20,000 in gifts from the Boyd Gaming Corporation, according to campaign disclosures filed with the Illinois State Board of Elections. Chung says she does not think the corporate money donated to her campaign has affected her votes because she is still prioritizing her district.
I've seen this also where other people are sort of saying that, yes, you take some corporate PAC money and that sort of thing individually, like to your campaign, but you also vote your district every time.
Chung did support the development of an East Peoria casino owned by the Boyd Gaming Company. The Illinois legislature had nothing to do with the approval of the casino, but Illinois does set the regulations. The Illinois Gaming Board approved the $160 million development. If Chung doesn't want corporate money to influence campaigns, what about labor unions? They also use campaign giving to influence campaigns. Chung says there's a difference.
The unions will have people voting on that process where corporations sort of put money in because nobody votes on corporation money.
But again, corporations will use money to influence votes. Alicia Kaplan from Reform for Illinois says the group supports the intent of the bill but does not think it is viable to fight the legal battles to pass the bill. Kaplan says the other issue is corporations will flood a race with money to support candidates that align with their interests, which leads the opposing candidate to find their own corporate supporter.
And in elections, there's a good chance that a corporation will put its profits over the public interest.
Kaplan says Reform for Illinois currently supports a bill that would bring more transparency to super PACs, which are organizations that can support a candidate with unlimited sums of money, but cannot work with the campaign. Kaplan says some companies donate through a third party, disguising their names from being disclosed.
The problem is that they can disclose a donor where the donor name is like, I love Illinois LLC. And you won't necessarily know who's behind that entity.
Kaplan says Reform for Illinois has found it to be an uphill battle every time they introduce a bill to reform campaign finance.
Despite the fact that Illinois has some of the weakest campaign finance rules in the country.
Kaplan says the challenge with campaign finance reform is that the people who are changing the law are the ones benefiting from the current laws. I'm Evan Holden.
And I'm Ryan Denham. You're listening to Morning Edition on WCBU.